When it comes to hiring, don't go searching for the one. Just meet your match with Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/match. Just go to Indeed.com/match right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/match. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
This is Full Change with Tom Laidlaw.
Tom, these are always the best shows because we go way back into your past and we have people who saw you as a knucklehead in Northern Michigan. We have someone who arguably who had a better career than you did coming out of Northern Michigan and should be the most famous Northern Michigan alumni. Not you, not Dallas Drake, but today we have the president and general manager of the Carolina Hurricanes and a Stanley Cup winner. We have your old defensive partner, Don Waddell, on the show.
Oh, man. You know what I think about when I think of Don Waddell? I think about this green pickup truck, the entire staff in front. So Don went to the driving school where you drive as close as you can to the rear bumper of the person in front of you. Don Waddell, how you doing, brother? Good to see you.
I'm excellent, Tom. Glad to be with you.
It's funny. I was an agent for 22 years, and you were a GM the whole time. We did one deal at the end of my career with Chris Mason, right? That's all we did.
That's all we did. You're just too hard to negotiate with.
Oh, funny. All right, Don Waddell. So Don and I go way back. So I obviously know all his stories. So I'm going to ask questions that I already know. But where'd you grow up?
Grew up actually in the city of Detroit and lived there until we expanded out to Marquette, Michigan at good old Northern Michigan University.
So we never actually roomed together, right? We were suite mates, weren't we? Like was that what it was?
Yeah, that was that would have been a little too much for me to be with 24/7, but I think we spent many days and nights together at different times. And
yes, we did.
We rod. Yeah.
Don, I want to ask you, so you get to Northern Michigan and you start practice, and then they put you with this guy. What are you thinking at the time?
Well, when I first looked at him, I said, good thing he's big and strong because he can't skate. He can't handle the puck.
He's not lying when he says that either.
So, yeah, no, it was, I think it was a pretty good hit right off the bat. And, my famous, we had a play that we worked on, it just naturally happened. And then it became pretty where Tom would go back, get the puck and start behind net. And I would do my usual curl as thinking I was more a forward and a defenseman and pick up the puck behind the net and try to go end to end. So we had quite a few little ways that we used, and and I can tell my favorite story about Tom, of course, is I think it took you a couple of years to score a goal. I don't remember what year was it when you scored your first goal.
I scored one each of my first 2 years, one goal.
Okay, good. So his first goal scored. We were at home, good old Lakeview Arena, and he scored the goal, and he went to center ice and took off his helmet, took that Christian Brothers stick that was the old wood sticks that weighed about 20 pounds and broke it right over his head. I'd never seen anything like it before, and I'll never see anything like it again. And
then I stood there with the two pieces, looking at his, like screaming at the goalie from the other end.
What is wrong with you, man?
Oh, there was a story behind that. So we worked at a hockey camp during the summer, and the little boy cracked the stick. So I took him, broke it over my head, it was cracked. And so they said, "Well, you can't do it with a stick that's not cracked." I said, "Sure, I can." So I break it over my head. So Don knows. I mean, you were like this too, but any kind of a challenge, we had to do it, right? So then at the end of the week, parents all come. There's little screamers. Parents come to the kids. He brings hockey sticks over, sit. So I had to break a couple of hockey sticks overhead there. You'll never do it during a game.
That was one challenge that, I think you're up for most challenges, but that one I think was in front of our full house at Lakeview Arena. Yeah, it was a lot of fun for all of us involved.
I remember Coach Conley did not know what was happening. Speeding 100 miles an hour faster about that. It was skating fast for me. And I went to the referee actually came to me and said, I said, Laildaw, I should have given you a 10-minute misconduct, but I couldn't believe you were doing it. But I want to bounce around a little bit, but I really got to tell you, and I've said this to you personally, you really Tom was halfway joking, but your career after the game, after playing, like you really have done a great job. You said like building. Why don't we start with that? You know what? Let's start with after your playing career got done. You had you were drafted by the LA Kings. What round did you get drafted in?
Seventh round.
Seventh round. I was sixth round, so I beat you on that one.
Yeah, of course. Look at your career, I guess we could tell that little story. So I get called up in the 80-81 season. And who are we playing in LA? The New York Rangers. I ended up playing one NHL game in January of 81, and it was against Tom and the good old Rangers.
And what did I say? What did I say to you?
Tom was he was very welcoming when he saw you, right, Don? You're his old.
Yeah, like what the hell are you doing here? I was playing. We were that year. We were in Central Hockey League. Our team folded at Christmas time, and so Red and Blair, our director of player personnel, sent about 5 of us to Saginaw. So I was in the International Hockey League. And I was in Saginaw, Michigan. And I got the call about 10 o'clock on the night before the game. Took a 6 o'clock flight in the morning. I went right to the arena. Got there at 5 o'clock, and just got ready to go out for warm up. And so nobody really knew I was there. It wasn't like today's. Postings where Twitter and X and everything else you have going on. And I remember skating on the ice and he looked at me and he said, "What the hell are you doing here?" There's a memory I won't forget. When you only play one game, you don't forget it. So,
and then you get stuck, unfortunately, Ron Greshner, who can stick out belly to everybody in the National Hockey League. We went down, scored. Oh.
Yeah, Ron Greshner came down. It was really a one-on-one on me and Jerry Korab, known as King Kong there, came over and tried to throw that big hip check and missed Ron and hit me. And I fell to the ice, and I have a great photo of me laid on the ice as Mario Greshner went in and top shelved it on Mario Lassard for first shift -1. It's beautiful.
You've got that picture? I didn't know that. That's cool.
Oh yeah, I got that picture. Yeah.
Didn't that, was it for your 60th birthday or something? Your wife found that you got a hold of the jersey you were in that game too?
Yeah, she called Jack Ferrara, unbeknownst to me, and Jack started making some calls to be new one of the old equipment managers from the Kings, and he actually had a pile of jerseys in his garage, and he went and looked, and sure enough, there was that jersey, there were 29, and he still had it, so my wife surprised me for it. It was a
cool.
Great gift. Yeah,
that's very cool. Very cool. All right, so then you hurt your eye at some point playing, right?
Yeah, I went to, after I went back and played in the minors for a couple of years, then I went to Europe, and actually had a 2-year contract, came back one summer, and a friend of mine was starting a summer league in Detroit, and he just asked me to help promote it. So the first game I went out and played 10 minutes of the game. I got a butt end in the eye, my left orbit, fractured my left orbit, had a plate put in. And so I stopped playing for about 6 months, and then had lost the opportunity to go back to Europe and played another 3 or 4 years in the eye, came back, had actually retired. And then I came back when Rick Dudley was coaching there as a player assistant coach. And Rick got a job to go to New Haven, LA's farm team. And I was 28 years old, and they offered me the coach GM job. I couldn't say no, but it was in way over my head. We won 21 games that year. That started my career. And one more year in Flint as a general manager, working with the Rangers as their farm team. And then started the franchise in San Diego in the old IHL 90, stayed there all 5 years. That franchise moved to LA. I went to Orlando and started another new franchise with the DeVos family, who owned the Magic 95 through 97. And then I was fortunate when Ken Holland took over as the general manager of the Red Wings. He brought me there as an assistant general manager, and one short year there and won the cup, got the name on the cup. And
that's right. Yeah.
Great year, great memory. And so the summer of 98, I got offered the job by Ted Turner to come to Atlanta and start that franchise. So I was in Atlanta I unlocked the doors and locked the doors at the end, which very few people could say they did.
Isn't that true? I forgot about that. That's true. Yeah.
2011. So, and then I went and worked for Ray Sherrill for a couple of years as a consultant with him in Pittsburgh. And then Pete Carmanis, who owned the Carolina Hurricanes at the time, asked me in 2014 to come in and run the business side as president of the team. So I came in 2014. And then in 2018, when our new owner took over, Tom Dundon, he asked me to take over the hockey side too. So that brings us to date today as president GM here.
Got it all, doing it all. So do you think you kind of got the reputation of kind of like the fixer? Like, isn't like the league, and you won't toot your own horn, so I will. I don't think you told me this. Somebody else did that. The league when Pete Kamanis owned the team, he wanted to sell it, but they were losing a lot of money. The books did not look good. So the league, I think, suggested that you go in there and fix it for him. You got it to the point where he could sell it and make a lot of money. But that ultimately to a point where it was a break-even proposition, right?
Yeah, pretty much. In 14 when I got here, Pete told me that his plan was to try to build up the value of the franchise and potentially sell it. Pete had moved the franchise from Hartford and invested not only a lot of time but a lot of money into it. So, we started right away, and we didn't make the playoffs, but we were making strides. When I got here, we had 4,000 season ticket holders, and by the time Tom bought the team, we were up to 8,000. We had double it and still hadn't made the playoffs. So we put it at least in a position where, because I met with multiple investors and people that kept looking at the bottom line and chasing everybody away. And finally, we got to a point where we had a respectable balance sheet and we was able to get Tom to buy the franchise.
Good. Now we should back up too. During the whole time when you were in the IHL, you ran a porta-potty business. Is that correct?
Yeah, I started that business when I retired initially. When I took the year off of hockey, portable toilets. I bought a franchise actually in Detroit with 25 units and one truck, and ran it every summer until I went to San Diego. And then my sister actually ran it for me for quite a few years. But when I sold it, I had 6 or 7 trucks and over 3,000 units. So
really? Wow.
It was shitty business, but it was a good way to make some money.
So why that? Is it just having to fall into that business? Or
Yeah, I had a friend that had a franchise in the north part of Detroit. This was South Detroit in Ohio, and I watched how he lived his life, and I'm saying, I always wanted to work for myself. That was the thing, I was always thinking, what are you going to do after hockey? I always had an incline that I was going to get back in, but I was young at 27 when I first stopped playing. I said, I got to have some time in between. I'm not going to go in someplace as a young person until I maybe break away for a little bit. And I was only out, that 6-7 months when Dudley called me and asked me to come in as his player assistant coach. So, it was an interesting time, but, it was a business that, it's like any business, you have to work it, put time into it. And I went on a lot of jobs, and it was, actually, to be honest, I enjoyed it, and we did very well with it financially.
So now, when you were at college at the great Northern Michigan University, what do you call it, where the N is for knowledge?
Yeah, college.
Did you, obviously your dream was to play in the National Hockey League, correct?
Of course, yeah.
Right. Well, once that got done, you couldn't play any longer because of the eye. Did you say to yourself, okay, I'm going to be a GM someday?
Yes, I didn't say I was going to be. I wanted to be, of course, but I also knew, I wanted to take the right steps. And, in 1990, I guess it was, I got an offer from a national team as go as an assistant GM, and I turned it down, and people thought I was crazy for turning it down. But I was only 2 years into my management career, and I really felt like I wanted to run my own program. And that's when I went and started San Diego. I was hoping that, learn the business. I always say that I talk to a lot of people try to get in this business. Don't try to get someplace too quickly, because if you're not prepared for it, the fall is going to be even quicker. So I went to San Diego, and I even had, after 3 or 4 years there, I had another opportunity, and I decided to pass on it. And then when I went to Orlando and got that up and running that franchise, and then when Kenny Holland called me, being a hometown Detroit kid, that was 97. It was an easy decision for me to move. And I can remember 2 other GMs at the time saying, how come you didn't come work for me? And I said, well, this was a special situation because I got to go home, work for my hometown team. And, it's something that I was excited to do. And, it was signed a 5-year contract there and stayed 1 year. My wife and daughter, never being at home, taking them all over the country, were pretty happy. My daughter was 10 years old being home. And then I can remember when I came home and said, I just got offered the job to start the Atlanta franchise. And it's like, my wife was happy. I don't think my daughter was too happy with me. But
did you have to go through the whole interview process with the Atlanta people, or is that?
Yeah, no, it was a long process. It was about a 2-month process. went in and met with Harvey Schiller at the time was running the process and making the hire. Stan Kasten was involved. And of course, Ted Turner. I can remember meeting Ted Turner for the first time. And when he asked me, the first question he asked me is, when am I going to ride that Zamboni machine? I said, the Zamboni machine? He goes, yeah, whatever that thing is, clears the ice. And so, yeah, it was a great process. I'd never been through an interview process, anything like this. And, they're a corporate, big company with TBS and TNT and all Time Warner stuff. And so I probably met with 10 to 12 different execs through the process of going in there. I think I went in there 3 times, and then we were in the playoffs in Washington. I'll never forget, in the finals, and they wanted to meet with me again. And I said, well, I can't. I'm in Washington. I can't come to Atlanta right now. And they said, well, we'll come to you. I said, the only thing, if you come to me, Stan Bowman, Scotty Bowman's coached our team. I said, if he knows I'm interviewing for this job and we lose a game, I'm going to be the blame of it. So I can remember they flew in. I met them at wherever they were staying. I don't remember the hotel. And we met for 4 hours in the middle of the day before game 4, where we wrapped up the cup. And we won that night. And 2 days later, I got offered the job.
Wow. There's a lot of other candidates?
Yeah. Brian Burke and I passed each other in the airport twice, actually.
Oh, is that right? Oh,
yeah. So then he ended up getting after that, he ended up getting the Vancouver job.
So I know you're pretty humble, but you built that reputation now where it seems that the league really counts on you. Like, they really trust that you're going to do the job properly based on what happened in Atlanta, what's happening there in Carolina, right?
Well, like I say, treat people good. Doesn't matter if they're above you or below you. Treat people all the same and run a good program. Don't there's honesty there's nothing better than honesty. Some things you make a mistake, admit it, and let's fix it. Move on. So it's and you build relationships throughout the years, and we all have our moments where you're not happy how things are going, but overall, I think we've been fortunate. I have great people here in Raleigh, and I had great people in Atlanta. A tough situation where we had a 9 ownership group there, but you surround yourself with good people, you're usually going to figure out how to get things done.
Yeah, it's interesting. We had Luke Robitaille, on, president of the LA Kings, and it was really amazing. We're both you guys saying the same thing. It's how you treat people too. It's not just about the business and making right decisions. It's how you treat the people in your organization. I never really thought of it that way, but you think about it. Yeah, you want people to want to work for you.
Yeah, 100%. You got, I look at, I always say our staff's a giant jigsaw puzzle. Everybody's got a piece of that puzzle. If you didn't have a piece, you wouldn't work here. So unless everybody does what they're capable of doing, what we ask them to do, your puzzle never could be complete. Right. So it doesn't matter. The first person that walks in, the receptionist or whoever, they're just as important as the person selling sponsorship. Everybody, it's just everybody plays a role, and that's how you build successful organizations.
People may look at Atlanta and say, well, geez, that was a failure. We had to sell the team didn't win, all that. There's a lot of things that the people don't know, right? As soon as that ownership group got in there, they start suing each other right away, right? More because of the basketball team, is that correct?
Yeah, 9 owners, 3 different groups, one from Atlanta, one from Washington, one from Boston. They're put together by the NBA because they're trying to buy the Hawks and the NBA, and they had to take the Thrashers with them. And I knew what I was dealing with. People say, how do you survive that long? And I said, well, because you didn't win. I said, well, 2 things. I said, one is I understood what they wanted to do. They bought the team for basketball. The biggest thing with hockey, I can remember our first board meeting with them is, we want to run this bare bones. We don't want to spend any money. We're going to spend it on basketball. They were right up front. There was no, so, people say, I said, I knew what I was being dealt, the cards I was being dealt. I chose to stay and try to make the best of it. So, it was just a different situation. And then, like I said, 9 months into it, they start suing each other. And then we were in court for, I think I did a couple court appearances or depositions. And then it got resolved. Once it got resolved, then they decided to spin off the hockey team first. That went to Winnipeg. And then a couple years later, they sold the basketball team.
And despite all that, the owners ended up making money too, right?
Yeah, the entry fee back then, I think, was $75 million. And, they ended up selling the franchise, the NHL franchise, for $200 million. And the NBA, I think they tripled on the NBA team.
Do you think that hurt your reputation, what happened in Atlanta at all?
No, I mean, I be honest, I didn't think, from a GM standpoint, that was in the cards again. You look at your record and, we only made the playoffs once, won our division 1 year. And so, everybody bases everything on your record. And so, and I really, even in Atlanta, I was running the last couple of years there, the last 4 years, I was running all the business for the whole sports organization. So I enjoy the business side. And so when I had the opportunity to come here in 14 with Pete Carmanis, to me, that was a new challenge, just being the president and just having to worry about the business side. So I absolutely do love the business side. And, we've taken this business to different heights it's never seen before. And hopefully we'll continue.
Yeah. And you never really took any formal business classes, right? You just taught yourself along the way?
Yeah, I think, school's a little overrated at times. I think, I know people hate when I say that, but I think, on job experience, and like I said, being able to even run my own company and understand balance sheets and, how you make profits and cut your costs and all that stuff. I think that all plays a part in it. But to me, when you're trying to make things, I think running minor league teams, I did it for 9 years, I can remember in Flint, I was coaching GM and warm up game would be 7:00, warm up start at 6:30 till 6:15. I was in the box office selling tickets. You just had short staffed. You had to do everything. And it was a great experience for me and a great opportunity to learn every part of the business. So I think on the job training, it's been the best thing for me by all means.
Okay. We're going to rewind a little bit, go back to Northern Michigan University. So Don and I talked together. We've talked every once in a while, but we talked the other day and you start telling some of the old stories and just like think this up. So I think I've told the story, but so it was after our junior year, at the end of the season, I had separated my shoulder and the team went on a road trip and we decided we're going to take Don's truck, it had a cap on the back, but it wasn't a heated cap and it was what, March and up there in Northern Michigan. Yeah. So it's still cold. We're leaving Northern Michigan. We're going to drive down to Fort Lauderdale with 6 guys in the pickup truck, 3 up front, 3 in the back, all kinds of sleeping bags, everything stay warm in the back. So I'd separated my right shoulder. So Don's truck had the 3 on the tree kind of thing. I had the shift gear. So I had to reach across with my left hand and change the gears. So I'm driving to the bus to pick these guys up. We're going to go directly from the bus to and I pulled the gear shift handle off. And I didn't know what to do. So poor Don gets off the bus and I walk over to him with the gear shift handle. He didn't flinch at all. He just grabbed a roll of hockey tape, taped it up, and we drove for 35 hours down to Waddell. Man, that was a great trip. That was fun.
Yeah, that was a great trip. That was a fun trip. I never got to ride the back of the cab, so I don't know how cold it was back then. I'm sure it wasn't good. I don't know if you remember coming back. We were coming through just south of Green Bay, Wisconsin. We're almost all the way back from a 26-hour trip, but we get a flat tire about 3:00 in the morning. And good traveler that I am, and the experienced guy on the road, no jack for my truck. So flat tire, middle of the highway, middle of the night. What are we going to do? So we did what most 6 guys would do. I loosened the tire up and we picked up the truck from the back. It's a back end of the truck, not the front tire. Took the old tire off, put the new one on, and away we went. So that was the end of that trip. That was something quite to remember about. But
that was funny. Didn't we stay in a tent down there too? You brought a tent down?
We had a tent. I think some guys had hotel rooms. I think that's where we went and showered and stuff like that. But that was
that was one of the best. That's one of the best vacations I ever had. I think I had like $100 in my pocket.
I think we had any money, but we made it work. Yeah, we made it. We had. I don't know.
Maybe I don't know if I ever told you this or not. I may have did. So I was late at night. And I was hitchhiking back to the tent, and this guy stops and picks me up, and he says, "You want to come back to my place?" He said, "Just be you, me, and the video camera." And I'm so naive. I'm going, "What are you talking about?" And he kind of winking at me or something like he was trying to pick me up. I said, "Yeah, you stop this car now. Or I'm going to beat the crap out of you." Right, that.
I don't remember that story, but I'm not right. Yeah,
I think that was the first time I was ever propositioned by another man. It's like I was so naive, that farm boy. Oh my God! Now, were you a pretty good student too? You went to class, right?
Yeah, I went to class. Yeah, I did okay. It's like all of us. We were there to play hockey, and I ended 1.5 and was on probation for my second semester because I did not go to school. In fact, I didn't know we even had a library until the second semester. And I was living with a hockey player. Then they moved me, calmly made me move to with Steve Laidlaw, who's still a very good friend of mine, who's a big student there and that. So the second semester, I ended up getting a 3.5. So after 1 year, I had a 2.5, which made me eligible to stay. I think it was just a 2.2 or something to be eligible. So I learned quickly that, that if you pay no attention to it, you won't be here long. But if you can pay some attention to it, you can survive pretty well. So after that, it was, I did okay. And, to me, school was fun. I mean, we had a lot of fun at school. But, we also, when it was serious from not only a school standpoint, but from hockey, we obviously took that serious. But in between, there's probably some stories that we probably can't tell.
Oh, I know. Yeah, with your position now, maybe someday when you retire, we'll do another podcast. And remember they put us in Payne Hall? It was a quiet hall. Remember that?
Quiet dorm we lived in, and I had two suite mates that were from Detroit that I don't know if you remember, Gary and Bill, that they're still good friends of mine, and they were suite mates, and it was
like a challenge to make as much noise as possible. Right?
That's right, being in the quiet hall. And I'll never forget our poor RA. His name was Doug Gross. I'll never forget the guy.
Yes.
Doug Gross, and we used to just terrify this guy. Yeah, you think back, we're talking in the 70s, so we have to worry about cell phones, about cameras, about videotape, about Twitter, about all these things. We could pretty much get away with whatever we wanted to do.
Do you remember? I can't remember who the player was, but he barricaded himself in his room. So we had the quad, so there's the thing in the middle there. And he barricaded himself in his room. He turned on his stereo really loud and put the speakers by the window. And he'd locked himself in the room. But then they figured out they could. Do you remember who that was?
Oh, I thought it was your buddy from Toronto there, Frank McCarthy, maybe.
Oh,
but yeah. I don't look like I may wrong the name for, but yeah.
So then they figured, okay, they'll go shut the power off. So they went to the circuit breaker, turned the power off. So next, I don't know why he was doing this. Next time he did it, he waited a couple of weeks. He went to the lock, the circuit breaker, put a toothpick in there, broke it off, so they couldn't put the key in. Then he went back in. So he was sitting there. They couldn't get in his room. It was too high. I don't know what ultimately happened. I don't know why he did it, but we were just roaring because it was just hilarious.
Yeah, it probably wasn't Frank because he was more of a low-key guy, but we probably have suspicion guys on there. I could throw out some names, but I'll get myself in trouble.
No, go ahead. Come on. Was it Dave Girton or something like this?
So that was my first choice. Dave, remember, you had Girton and Ross.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Good old Detroit guys.
Who went to Florida with us in the truck? Weren't those two guys in the truck with us?
I think both of them around there. I think Weeksy went with us.
Oh,
Weeksy go?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Weeksy went, and I don't remember. I know Freddie Haig didn't go with us. Freddie Haig was another one of our teammates. It was a guy that I did some trips with, and that really good guy.
Yeah, really good guy. We did have a bunch of good guys too. Yeah. So obviously the first year we went there was the first year they had a hockey team. So
Division One hockey.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. But interesting, by the end of our senior year,
I think it was you and I, Weeksy. I think Billy Joyce, Dennis Flanagan survived.
Mike Milky,
yeah.
Dennis Flanagan, there's a name. Man, what a good guy he was. He was such a nice kid. They're famous. Were they from Stratford, Ontario?
Stratford, Ontario. His dad was a famous coach here forever.
Yeah.
They used to come to Atlanta, and they used to make an annual trip every year to Atlanta. I mean, his dad to see a hockey game and a Braves game when the spring started. So I got to see it for a long time. And,
that's right, because Dennis was a good baseball player, wasn't he? Catcher or something?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's fine, man. We had some fun up there, man. Really, they're like my parents. They'd love going up there. My dad was firefighter. He'd drive they have a night shift, get in the car, and drive 12 hours. My mother made all the raspberry tarts, and they'd party the whole time. And then Sunday morning, any beer that was left over, they dropped it at our place and
dropped it off. Yep.
Maybe, what was there was the Ramada Inn right across. There was the Greasy Spoon, the restaurant where we go for breakfast.
Oh boy.
It was like sometimes on the Sunday morning we're just totally hungover.
I never admitted to drinking back then.
Yeah. Oh God.
You guys went to the place downtown, Andy's, and yeah. I mean, I started hanging out at the pier. I don't know if you
is that where your place? We followed you after that because that was a hangout too. Remember the Alibi with the disco floor, like the lights on the floor and everything?
Unbelievable.
They had this song. I think it was called "The Worm" or whatever. So everybody get down on their backs and start like worm. So we're diving on the girls. Oh man, we just. You know what the great thing was with that team too? We always did it together. Like
Yeah, we
pretty much
together.
And even if we broke curfew or something, it was like, okay, we're all going to break curfew. We're all going to break curfew. So Coach Conley, I think he secretly probably liked it that we stuck together all the time.
Yeah, and curfews, you never, when you start having a few beverages, you don't remember what time zone you're in. So, I don't know if it was 11 o'clock Eastern time or it might have been Pacific time. So, it's
what a bunch of. I saw when I was living in Michigan. This guy was a financial planner. His secretary, Janet Kemp, and apparently she went to Northern when we were there. I don't think we met her. She said she didn't hang around with the team, but she looked at me at one point. She says, "You guys lived all out." We did.
Yes. Yeah, I was going to say that's why we Coach Cobley. I think we put him through probably for it wasn't his first coaching because he came from Lake Superior as a young coach, but I don't think he had to put up at Lake Superior what he had to put up with us. That's for sure.
I will never forget. We went on our first road trip. I'll never forget to Western Michigan, and so we're all like these 18, 19, 20-year-old guys, Minnesota, Michigan, Ontario, and so we get to the hotel in Kalamazoo. Right beside the hotel is a liquor store. So of course, me and the intelligent young men, we go right. This is the night before a game. We go over to the liquor store. We're all getting in one room together, hooting and hollering and getting hammered. And Coach Conway comes in and he's looking at us. What are you guys doing? Like you said, I just don't think he anticipated how stupid we were. Right? But we had no experience. There's no senior class to tell us what to do. Right? So we just, like I said, just did whatever we wanted.
Yeah. No, we had one sophomore, if you remember, Eddie Dobbs.
Yeah.
Eddie Dobbs came. We were all freshmen. Eddie Dobbs came and he had transferred and he was
Eddie Dobbs.
Yeah.
Greg Tignanelli, all those guys. All right. So one of the classic stories of my life, one of these times where this is not me making a decision. This is Don and I making this decision together. So I'd been drafted by the Peterborough Petes in the midget draft. So they still own my rights. So it was going into our draft year, which was the sophomore season, correct? That was
77, 78 year.
Do you remember how we came to this decision to leave college and go junior?
I know we talked about it for a few days, and then I think one night we just said, let's do it. And it was like we had the weekend off. No, it was before the season started, right? It was before the season started. Training camp was going on in the OHL.
So we decided, Don and I, that we were going to go play for the Peterborough Petes. Now, we don't tell our parents. We don't tell the coaches. Did we tell any teammates? I don't think we told teammates.
No, but I don't think anybody did.
So Ron Ruffett was with the Bramley Blues. I called him up. I said, "Listen, Ron, can you set it up to get us to Peterborough?" Because they get no cell phones there. So Peterborough Petes were all excited. We drove over to Lake Superior in a truck. All right, over to Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. Went across the border into Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, and then got a flight from Sault Ste. Marie over to Toronto. And then they picked us up and brought us over to Peterborough. So we get to the Billett's house, and I call my parents up, and my parents was friends with particularly your mother at that time. Yeah. And so I said, "Dad, we're in Peterborough." Yeah, I remember saying to him, "Don't move, I'm coming to get you." We're going over. Don and I remember thinking, "What's the big deal? This is what we're supposed to be doing." So my parents picked up Don and I, took us back to their house, spent the night. They drove us to the Toronto airport after that. And they said, "Get up there and don't ever come back."
Don't ever come back. Yeah, it was the quickest trip to Ontario, especially. I can remember driving back, and we were sitting there coming back from Sault Ste. Marie talking about our short trip, and then are we going to tell Coach Cobley or not? That was the biggest thing. Are we going to act like nothing ever happened? And it was quite a trip. I think
we got into Coach Cobley's office, and who's the other coach that was in there with him?
Rod Hookwood, right? Rod, yeah.
So we walk in, and he was kind of shocked to see us walk in, and I guess we had this look on our face too. And he turns and looks at us, and we say, we both said it one at a time or whatever. We said, "Why don't we just get back to Peterborough?" And 12 o'clock, he was like, "What?" Oh, imagine what he must have been thinking at the time, how he wanted to just kill us, right?
Yeah. It was, I can remember his face like, "What?" And I think he realized that if he'd had known before, he would have tried to talk us out of it. That then we would have maybe regretted that we were even thinking about it. So probably the way it played out was better for all of us, because you and I learned quickly, and that it's probably just not the right move for us. And yeah, that was.
And we were both captains at the time, I think, too, right? At least
we were. Yeah.
So and technically that would have made us ineligible, right? Because they paid for the flights. Then, yeah. But back then, nobody, there's no cell phones or anything like that. Oh God.
Some of the stories from at Northern, I mean, we're not getting any younger, but there's certain stories you can't remember, but there's a lot of stories you can remember, and they're all the good times, that's for sure.
It's when you get together, guys, too, like you think to yourself, like, okay, did we really do that? And then we did it. Oh, it was, man, we were wild. I remember our senior year, I think it was, we were down in Miami, Ohio, and I don't know why we decided we were going to tear up all the shrubbery. We were walking back from the park, and the police called. I think they had us in the back of the police car, and they called Coach Comey's office, and they go, "These guys are crazy." He goes, "Yeah, they're the crazy bunch of guys." Like, he was lowered at that point too. I'd forgotten. Well, I told you this the other day. So I went up to Northern Michigan, put on a little presentation, a little motivational speech there, and he came walking over, and I looked at him. I just like, what? Well, I'm sorry. That's all I can say to him. Jim, we talked about this too. Remember, he told me the story and I forgot it. He gone out on a recruiting trip, and it was the coach that we didn't like that much.
Rod. It was I thought Rod Huckler.
Oh, is that the one? He would have us do some weird stuff, and we revolted. And we revolted by turning our helmets around backwards. And so he had to call Coach Conley out. West Coast.
It might have been Bill at that time.
Yes, I think it was. Yeah. And remember, he used to have to do us all the stretching in the dark and everything after we worked out. And now I'd probably do it, but then I was like, what?
I was one that never. I mean, we had to be in the weight room. They turn the lights off so you could meditate. And I mean, this is 1981 or 76, whatever it was, and meditate. I said, what the heck's this?
Oh, I know.
No, but yeah, you could finish your practice. It was pretty funny because we, for some reason, we were revolted that Coach Conley's our recruiting trip, so we all came out and practiced with our helmets on backwards. And we would do change. He went off. Coach, oh my gosh, that was another. I can remember that story too. That was
God. He had to fly back from West Coast. And why we made the decision to put our helmets around backwards? I don't know what that was all about. You and I were probably in the middle of all that too, making that
problem. Yeah, well, I for sure that.
So you went and played the World Junior Tournament. What year was that?
The first one was 1977 in the old Czechoslovakia, down the Czech Republic. And then the second one was in Montreal, 1978. That was Gretzky's first year.
That's right. So, it was twice. Oh, okay. That's right.
Back to back. Yeah.
That was a big deal. I didn't realize how big a deal that was for you to go.
Yeah. I mean, nobody knew, I didn't know either at that time. You learn after and you start looking at the rosters of these guys he played against, and in particular, not only Team Canada, but all the Russians he played against and all that. It was pretty impressive. But when you're doing it, you don't realize it. I can remember going to the Czechoslovakia. I was at Marquette, and I flew from Marquette to Green Bay to Chicago to someplace in New York. It was like 7 stops to get there. Then you get there, and it's at that time they're still a communist country, and everybody's carrying guns in the streets. There's tanks and everything else, and it was a scary situation. But to play hockey there, it was great. So great trips. The second year was Montreal.
Oh
yeah. A lot of fun.
I'd forgotten about the second year. I remember the Czechoslovakia one. And yeah. So I was lucky too. So now Don and I went there. There's the first year they had the hockey program. So technically we've got the worst hockey program in the country, Division I hockey program. So Don gets to play in the World Juniors. I was fortunate enough to get to try out for the Canadian Olympic team, went over to Czechoslovakia as well. Christmas of our junior year, I guess it was. Right. And then, so now we're getting like our first couple of years, we're kind of, we're really not doing that much. Third year, I think was a little bit better. And then, so I told this story, but I'll be brief on this one because I've told it so many times, but I went to try out for the Canadian Olympic team. They had a training camp in Calgary, Alberta, and they didn't have much money. So they had a double wide construction trailer. And I went out with, I shouldn't mention this. I won't mention their names. Two guys that are now in the National Hockey. We went out with, and decided to have a few adult beverages and got back like 2 or 3 in the morning and decided to put the furniture on the trainer's car or the bar shop. So, and again, one of those things where we're thinking, man, this is really funny. It's a good bonding move and everything. They went to bed, and then I woke up the trainer and told him what we did, thinking that, man, he'd be laughing the whole bit. And that's next morning, he got up, and Father Bauer ran to Hockey Canada, the priest, and everybody comes walking over to me again, thinking he's going to give me a big hug, hands me the plane ticket, and sends me home. So actually, I think it kind of fueled me to have a great year because I've been drafted. I said, geez, I better get my act together. And that senior year, man, remember we took off, we were kind of like the first 5 games, we were kind of muddling around, and all of a sudden we took off won 20 in a row or something.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Remember we won the big North Dakota home series right after Christmas in our building. Yeah. 2-1 back-to-back games. So it was kind of the springboard for the whole season.
So they were ranked number 1 in the first half of the year, and then once we beat them at home, then we were ranked number 1 the rest of the year. So that was, remember, was it Gino Gasparini was coach there? Is that who it was?
Yeah.
Remember him saying he got interviewed and they're saying, well, you're going to be intimidated by the people at Marquette Lakeview Arena because it's this like 3,500 seat place, but the fans are right on top, all the mining guys, and they're smoking cigarettes, drinking beer. And he said, we don't get intimidated by anybody. When they left the weekend, they asked him again. He said, we're never coming back here.
Yeah, we're never coming back here.
Man, that year was incredible, right? I mean, we had a great bunch of guys like Jeff Taskoff and those kind of guys are great team players.
Yeah, Steve Bozak, good player too. Yeah, he had a good career. Unfortunately,
I heard he lost his wife recently.
Yeah, no, I'm really unfortunate. Yeah.
I think they met in college too, right?
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Good player. He's almost too intelligent to be a hockey player.
He was. We got on the bus and we would play cards or whatever else, and he'd be reading books. I never read a book in college. I mean, he's like front cover, and that wasn't about it. But yeah. You remember our first weekend? I remember our first weekend, our freshman year. We lost the first night to St. Louis 5-0, and then the second night we lost 5-1, and we scored that one goal, which I was fortunate to score it with about 3 minutes left in the game. You thought we'd won the Stanley Cup to score a goal. It was our first weekend. We got outscored 10-1 at home, and we finally scored a goal. I was like, wow, we won the championship. I'll never forget.
I remember too, like my senior year. I mean, it's a good way. Like we were cocky too. Like we go into another team's building, and we knew we were going to win, right?
Cocky confidence, But I think that was the swag that you needed back then too. Yeah, maybe even now, but have that swag that you're the best.
Oh yeah, we'd always be together. We'd walk into the rink together. We remember I had that feeling like we're going to win every time, and we did. I remember it was in playoffs that senior year too. Who did we beat to win the championship, the CCHA championship?
Well, Minnesota. Remember the whole.
Well, that was that one game though. But who did we?
Oh, and the CCHA.
Yeah. Remember it was a 2-game total goal series.
Yeah.
We were being the first game like being 12-1 or something like that, and then we coasted the second game.
Yeah. No, I don't even remember. I don't even remember who that was, but yeah, it was.
Yeah. Okay, so back then, we'll come up to the Minnesota game. So we were ranked number 1 in the country. North Dakota won their WCHA, and then there's the 2 teams, Cornell and Dartmouth from Cornell. I can't remember what was Cornell.
It's Cornell and somebody. I don't remember. Yeah.
But there was really no system to determine, okay, like who gets in the second team from the West. So again, we're ranked number 1 in the country. So they tell us that we've got to go to Minnesota to play. I guess it was more of a financial decision, right? I mean, making more money, bigger arena.
Well, that wasn't. I mean, it was politics, but yes, you can use financial. So,
and everybody's like, "Oh, God, you go to." But we were so cocky. We didn't care where we played. Like we were the bosses there, and so now they had lost some players because of the Olympic team. Like Ramsey would have been there, one of the Broughtons, but they still had a good team. And we ended up winning 4-3. So they had the phantom goal. Remember the guy? It was a Broughton that shot the puck, went through the net. Yeah.
They basically scored there for a 1-game playoff too. So remember, it was 1 game, winner take all in their building after us being number 1 in the country. But to your point, I don't even think we thought, okay, what we got to do? We'll go there and win. And
absolutely, that was our attitude. You're exactly right. I never thinking like, oh God, we're going to be in trouble. But in fact, we were the other way around. Like we worried about they got to worry about us, right? Remember Coach Comley too? He was upset because we didn't have any All-Americans either. They were our number 1 in the country, but I don't think we were even aware of that kind of stuff.
No, you didn't say dude.
Yeah, we were drinking our beer, having fun. Oh God! Remember, we went there too at first. So we thought, okay, we're going to go. Only Division 1 sport in the school, right? The football's Division 3, I think it was, and we would go there thinking, oh, geez, the girls are all going to love us. We got leather jackets on. We go to register, and we don't have a hockey team. They didn't know about us. But then by the senior year, man, we were big man at campus then.
Yeah, we went there. The two big guys were Tom Izzo and Steve Mariucci.
Yeah,
you know,
that's right.
Those are the two big guys. In fact, I don't remember if we went together on recruiting trips. I know when I went up there, that's who took me out was Izzo and Mariucci.
And weren't you trying to steal Izzo's girlfriend?
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
We kept saying to her, I can't remember her name was Dump Izzo. Dump Izzo was the thing we said to her all the time.
But yeah, no, we were the small bet on campus when we went there for sure, and then it changed pretty quickly. Yeah.
What a great time! I know people say like 4 years of college is going to be the best time of your life, but man, like for us all to be together, particularly the guys, the freshmen all started together. Man, that was
Very few people ever get to do that. You know, like I've said through my career starting franchises, very few people get to start a franchise and be able to start a program like we did there. With all us being a freshman, it was, how many times you spend that many years with the same people, and then we know as we went, but the first couple of years, it didn't change a whole lot. Third year, we're going to have a little bit more influx when Bozak.
No, they wouldn't even unlock the bathroom door on the bus first couple of years.
Do you remember Alvin, the bus driver?
Yeah.
He wouldn't let you use the bathroom. We'd be driving from Marquette to Bowling Green 14 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Hours, and he wouldn't unlock because he didn't want to clean it on the road.
And then, I don't know if Coach Conley lied to us or not, but there's all this talk about expanding the building, and have like that, knock the wall down, have this big locker room. Never. We had this tiny little locker room for a practice rank, and then Lakeview Arena, small little locker room there. But I don't think we really cared though.
Yeah, I just remember playing at Lakeview Arena. We had a bar there, the Donuts Club or Blue Line Club. Yeah. Whatever, and one of our team doctors who sewed you up. You never want to get cut in the third period because if you get third period, you're going to get the worst stitch job you could ever imagine.
That's what he said. He can smell his breath, the booze. He's leaning over trying to tissue. Remember one time I think he was going to sew me up. He said he's going to freeze it. I said, no, you're not putting another needle there. Bad enough you got to stitch it. No, that's right. I forgot about that. That's funny.
Yeah.
Remember we had the radio guy. I can remember him having the dark mustache and everything. And I don't know, for whatever reason, at the end of one season, I thought it'd be a good idea to go up, pull him out of the radio booth, put him in the shower in our lobby. I had no clue. I think back, I remember doing it, but like no clue why.
Yeah.
It's bad times.
It wasn't Joe Blake, was it?
I don't think it was. It was somebody before him.
Joe Blake, yeah.
Yeah. That was Joe Blake. Geez, you're good with names. I forgot about Joe Blake. What a great bunch. It ended up being, listen, the school obviously backed us too, but it was more the townspeople, right? That were.
Yeah, the town really grasped the hockey team.
Yeah,
we got a lot of good friends in the city, and still have friends there actually. Yeah. So,
and it's changed a lot though. You haven't been back there in a while, right?
No, I haven't been back for a while. Yeah.
They're going to try to have a reunion we were talking about for 2026. A 50-year reunion. Hopefully, we can get there for that. The bad part for Marquette is just like it's to get there, right? It's a pain.
Travel getting there. It's 450 miles north of Detroit because I drove it so many times. I actually hitchhiked back and forth a lot. And
now, okay, so you hitchhike. Now you're taking a private jet.
Yeah, now I got a little different travel now.
Honestly, Don, when I say this, you and I are good friends. You know how friends go, especially with guys. We don't see each other for years, but I'm really proud of you what you've done with your life. The family mind. You got 2 grandkids now too.
2 grandkids, 10-year-old boy and a 7-year-old girl.
Because look at what it's interesting you talk about starting the franchise too, the hockey team in Northern. So you started the team in, definitely San Diego?
San Diego, Orlando, and then Atlanta.
Wow, do you think that's something that's kind of part of your repertoire now, like how to start? Like a lot of people wouldn't know where to start. Right?
Yeah. Obviously, wouldn't Stanley Company try to help, but starting 2 franchises before, it's the same thing's got to happen. Whatever level you start, just a lot more money, a lot more people. But right. I think I was very fortunate, and I would like to reciprocate what you said about me because who would have thought you'd be where you are today after playing? How many games did you end up playing? I had this on my mind the other day. It was
I think I played just north of 700 regular season games, probably totally 800 games.
Yeah, and to have that kind of career after coming, as we joked at your freshman year of coming to college, it doesn't happen without the hard work. And you were one guy that I always appreciated how hard you worked off the ice, because you'd be in the weight room all the time, and I would sit and watch. It was, and then
your game was different, right? Yours is the skill game. I had to be. I don't know if I really realized it. I'm in the process of writing a book now. It's made me look back at my life. My father and grandfather just had that work ethic, so I just didn't know any better. I didn't know that you don't do it. I never really viewed myself as very talented either. So I just thought, if I had my dream of playing the NHL, I'd work for it. So, yeah, this is a cool thing. Back we met each other in 1976, right?
76. Right.
Hey, look at like you're president, general manager of a National Hockey League team.
Yeah, cool. Most people think I should be retired, but
well, listen, you're a great friend of mine. Like I said, very proud of you as a person, as a professional. Like to start your own thing, like the whole port-a-potty business and everything, and doing all the stuff you've done. You should be very proud of yourself as well.
I appreciate it, my friend, and it's always great to chat with you.
Yep, good to see you, brother. Glad you came on the show. We're going to do it again. Hopefully, after you win a Stanley Cup, we'll do another show.
You got it, my friend. Take care. All right.
Sure, good seeing you.
See ya. All right.
So, Tom, so glad we finally got Don Waddell on the show. He was your college roommate. He's your good friend. It was great to hear some of your stories. I have to fully disclose that I was there in the beginning, and then I had to tap out because I got a stomach bug in the middle of us taping, and I had to leave. And
it looks like you're gonna blow there for a second.
I did. I ran upstairs. I did. Please apologize to Mr. Waddell when you talked to him, because I had to tap out, which is odd. I tried to tough it out, but I just it wasn't.
Yeah, I didn't. You have every other show you've been there for, rain or shine. Yeah.
No, I know. This one just got to me. First time I threw up in over 20 years, so it was bizarre. But I did get the beginning part, and I did hear that.
Hold on. First time you threw up in over 20 years. How do you know when you last threw up? Did you mark that down or something?
Absolutely. Right. October 9th, 2002. I remember it.
Why would you know the date for the time you threw up?
Because it was the last time I drank.
Oh, is that what that's all?
Yep. I said, I'm not going to do this ever again. And that's how I know. And I haven't thrown up since. It was weird. Christine was like, it was so weird you were throwing up, because, she's thrown up. She had, we had 3 kids. I heard her go through all sorts of, morning sickness and all, but she's like, it's so bizarre. She's like, I had to leave. It's like, well, thanks a lot.
I was going to say something bad. Like, do you throw up? Do you make it throw up?
Well, yes. When we made babies, I guess I had a part of that. So she threw up. Not in the act of making babies, but the process.
It sounded to it.
No,
I was actually this where I was going with it too. Yeah.
Not at all. Afterwards. But it's great to hear you guys, because he's a good friend of yours, and look at the careers you both had.
Hold on a second. I'm sorry I have to do this to you, but throwing up and woman throwing up made me think of this. I was dating this beautiful model. It was actually Eddie Mio, instead of just Julie Wolf. Beautiful girl. And
who you and Eddie Mio both dated separately.
Separately, yes.
Yes, separate times too.
So I think it was like the first or second time I dated. She came to a Halloween party that we had, and she had a gorgeous body. She had this green suit on, like skin tight suit on. She was like Jolly Green Giant or something like that. And oh man, the guys are all coming up to me like, Tom, what are you doing? Like, smoking. So she'd had a couple of cocktails. I took her home back to the city, her apartment. So I stayed around for a little bit, and she, poor girl, started throwing up.
No.
And but of course, being the guy I am, she would clean up and get mouthwash going the whole bit. So
wait, so you were that into her that after she threw up, you're like, all right, well
she was fine too. She was into the same thing. We were really into each other. I'm playing in the National Hockey League. She's this gorgeous model, and she threw up a couple of times actually, and she'd always come out smelling like roses. She had the mouthwash going the whole bit, and
you were like, whatever, I'm diving in. I don't care.
Well, you know what way I do things, right? Just plow through.
Yes, no thought. Now, was that before she dated Eddie Mio or after?
I think this is after. I don't think I knew until after I had dated her that she had dated Eddie Mio. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, he did, we had him on episode, I think 7, and he had no hard feelings or anything towards that. He was like, yeah.
Well, he did at the time though, but.
Of course he did.
Yeah.
Of course he did. But but let's talk about Don Waddell, because he was basically a slick defenseman to your stay-at-home defenseman, right? He was an offensive player, he's an All-American, and you were not, right?
No, I don't think he was an All-American. He played in the World Junior team twice.
Okay, gotcha.
I don't think anybody at that time from our school. In fact, I remember senior year, our coach was mad because we were number 1 team in the country and nobody was an All-American.
I have some bias against you guys.
Yeah, but the young team, we just got, again, our first year we started, we were technically the worst team in the country because the first year we started. So That's actually, I thought that was a good run too, to go from the worst team in the country in 4 years to become the best team in the country.
Yeah.
No, it was great to have Waddell on. I think at first Don was kind of a little bit hesitant. He's the president, general manager of an NHL team. And some of the stuff we did when we were 18, 19, 20 years old was, we were careful to not get too many bad stories. But it was funny talking about how we had, it was our draft year. So going into our sophomore year, we both made the decision that we were going to leave college and go to Peterborough Pizza. Peterborough Pizza drafted me. So we arranged for us and we didn't tell anybody. They just left.
Wait, can I go back? You could play, because Peterborough is junior, right?
Yeah. Well, no, we couldn't. So back then, but nobody knew anything, right? There's no cell phones or cameras or anything like that. So we called the guy that I knew from my junior team, the Bramley Blues. He called the Peterborough Pizza, set it all up there. Again, there's no cell phones. Don and I jump in his green pickup truck and drive to Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. They arranged for a flight for us to fly down to Toronto, and then had a car pick us up, take us over to Peterborough. Again, not telling anybody. And it would have made us, like today, ineligible. And called my father, let him know where we were from the Billets house. And he said to me, "Don't move. I'm coming to get you."
Wow.
He had called Don's mother, who they were friends with because we played together. They knew each other, and told her what's going on. They came and picked us up. It's a 4-hour drive or something, too. So they had to come pick us up, brought us home. There wasn't a whole lot of talking going on either. And put us on a plane the next morning back up to Sault Ste. Marie.
Get your ass back in school. That's it.
Yeah.
No
So now we didn't tell the coaches even. So now we got to walk into the coach's office and tell them what we've done. And now this part I do remember because there's an assistant coach sitting there to the left of the room, and head coach was far side of the room. We walk in, and he looks at us like, "What's going on?" And like you could tell the worried look on his face right away. And we said, "Well, we just got back from Peterborough." So he closes the door, and I think he was more like. And Don said this in the show too. It's interesting that maybe it worked out well because if he told us no, like we went to him, that we were still stubborn, 18-year-old kids that would have just said, "Well, we want to do it anyways," kind of thing, or we'd be mad that we didn't go. This way, we did it. Didn't work out too good. So, but it's funny telling those old stories. Same as Dave Stoke, where and Don really got into it too because things are like we'd ask each other, "Is this something that really happened? Like, did we do this?"
Well, how popular are you for him when he? Well, so then again, you guys, and I was there for that when you talked about your first game, his only game in the NHL when he was with the Kings, and you're really rude to him, but you claim it was shock and surprise, but it was more like, God, it was kind of a chirp. Like, what are you doing here, dude?
Well, and you didn't mean it to be a chirp. I was really shocked and sweat. But plus, it was my rookie year in the league, and looking back at it, I don't think you realize when you're going through it that rookie year, everything's new. Right? It's probably the first time I was in Los Angeles playing at the Forum. So you're just like in awe of everything. And then you look back, like I remember and we had a good run too. We went to the semifinals against the Islanders, and you didn't realize when it's finally done, like you wake up the next day and you just realize, okay, I can relax a little bit. Like I don't know if it's nervous, but you're just on guard the whole time. It's all new stuff. Yeah. I'm in the NHL. It's a dream come true. So yeah, when I saw Don there, I was like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah. Well, you knew when you were playing in college that he was good enough to play in the NHL, right?
Yes, a very talented player. Yes, and really intelligent player too. Yeah, we talked about how we had this famous player of ours. We always were partnered together on the ice, and I'd carry the puck behind the net, and he'd stand in the corner, and I'd hold off the forward that was forechecking. He'd just leave the puck for him. And we thought we were like Joe Cool, right?
Kings of the world.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah.
That's great. And what a career he's had, though. I mean, he's a Stanley Cup champion.
Yeah, very proud of him. He's. I'll tell you why. I'm proud of him. So he worked his way up. He talked about having a port-a-potty business, learning business world, then ultimately got to the point where he started the franchise in Atlanta. Yeah, the Atlanta owners were constantly lawsuits against him.
Yeah, they were mad.
And so they ultimately sold the team. But his reputation, particularly with the league, because those owners, as much as it kind of get all over the map, they end up making money on that sale.
Wow.
So yeah. So the league really looked at Don like, okay, it didn't work out on the ice. We understand why, but Don's got this great reputation. So when Mr. Cumanis owned Carolina and wanted to put up for sale, they were losing money at the time. So he brought Waddell in to change that, make it, got it to the point where it was a break even. So he now could get a better price for selling the team. So his reputation is really good now.
Yeah, but the owners and the owners in the league knows that he's a fixer. He can take a crap situation and then turn it around. That's awesome. Yeah, we went through and told the story. So we started the program, Northern Michigan, he and I together and others. Then he started the port-a-potty business. Then he started the franchise in San Diego.
Then he started the franchise in Atlanta. And
Wow.
he also
Yeah.
came in. Yeah. So it was funny listening to him talk about it. I said, well, that's your reputation, right? And you start franchise. Yeah, that's where it's worked. So yeah, very proud of him.
You're like, wow, you're so much cooler than me. Nice job, man.
Well, you know what's funny because, I mean, people say, well, I played in the NHL for 800 games, whatever it was. But you look at his career, man, he's done a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
He didn't have that long career in the NHL,
but he never hired you or tried to get you to work for him and through all these years, like, because you got buddies.
Yeah, but you know what though, we because I was an agent, we really never talked about it. But we both stayed away from each other because I didn't want to make it look like I was asking him for favors, and then he didn't want to, vice versa. Like other people would say, well, Waddell and Laildaw are like brothers. They played together, lived together, college, and they're taking advantage of that situation. So we never. Right at the very end, I think I did a contract for Chris Mason,
Goaltender.
Don. Yeah, but I went for 20 years without doing any stuff, and I think we just kind of both understood it's the way we kind of lived. That we didn't want to be. Like Don's a real classy, like character guy, and I hope I'm in that category too. And we didn't want to like a lot of the other agents and general managers have relationships going on.
Yeah, man, are you in that category though? I don't know.
Oh yeah, totally. Oh yeah.
Okay,
100%.
fine.
Yeah, classy
character guy. Guy.
Yeah, maybe
I'll give you character guy. Classy
sometimes. If I have to be classy, like in a nice setting like that, I can be that. It's not that I'm always.
I'll give you the character guy for sure. You're definitely a character guy player.
But I can fit into the classy thing. I can walk into a living room or a big whatever, act like a real total gentleman.
All right, if you're self-appointed classy guy, I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
But
part-time classy. How's that?
there you go. Sometime classy guy, definitely character guy. And Don Waddell, real good character guy, and it's a good friend of yours, and that's awesome that you had. You ask this all the time on the show, but can you imagine? You probably did on this show. I didn't hear. Can you imagine where you were freshman year at Northern Michigan to where you guys are now with this accomplishments and this life? It's pretty awesome.
I know. Yeah, it really is. Yeah, and that was good. And he even got a hold of me after the show, and you could tell he was surprised how much fun he had reminiscing about the old days. Tell the old stories. So
that's great.
You know what? That's a good thing. Like, there's different types of shows we've had, right? So the guys that I've played with and know really well, we tell old stories, things we did in the past. Yep. Then there's the other guys where I don't know them at all, and I really learn who they are.
Yeah.
And in most cases, I'm kind of shocked who you have this picture of who they are. And you're really not that at all. Like Eddie Belfour was like that. I was really surprised by his character, like he wanted to play for North Dakota and he had to wait for 3 years.
Yeah, you probably thought he'd be like this screaming lunatic the whole time, right? And it wasn't like that at all. He was measured and calm, and it was
a very confident man, a very confident man. And like when he went to Chicago, same thing. He could have gone other places, but he wanted to play for Chicago Blackhawks. Didn't really think about the other goaltenders there. He just, I was going to play.
Yeah, so many guys have said they looked at the depth charts and they're like, okay, I'm not going to go here. I'll try on this team, which is pretty awesome. He's like, no, I like Chicago. I'm playing there. And he had to beat out Dominic Hasek and a first-round pick, Jimmy Wade. So, it's like that's great, too. And on this incredible journey we're on, it's great to hear these different stories and these different, because this is life. We're again, I always say it's hockey cards come alive, and it's pretty cool to see to see these lives, and it's awesome. And that was a great story, and that was one of your good friends.
Who's the guys that surprised you the most so far in all the shows we've done?
That's a really good question. In general, some guys who I thought would be big personalities were very low key, and some guys who were not such big personalities were amazing. And then there's guys we mentioned Darren Laildaw time. He was just awesome. He was just exactly the same as he was. I love the Dave Silk one because he's such a nice guy and a nice guy to be to it. I could see like the friendship with you guys, which was cool. And I say this all the time too. I'm not an NHL player, obviously, though I wanted to be. Just didn't have the ability. But these guys, the way they treat me is how I gauge how they are as human beings, because I'm not a hockey guy. I'm just a producer of a podcast, and some of them are just like a little big timing to me, and others are just regular dudes. Dave Silk was probably one of my favorite ones for sure. Just a really
Jim Kite was an interesting one too. I didn't know Jim Kite at all. That was an interesting story too.
Fascinating. Fascinating. And he was very fascinating. Glenn Healy was great. He was funny. Like everything was just funny. There's been so many good shows. I'm impressed. I'm really impressed with hearing these stories. It's pretty awesome. And hopefully people are learning from it. Parents and kids that listen, they learn what to do and how hard work is pretty much the common denominator for all of you guys. There's no slacking for any of you guys.
Yeah.
And
it isn't always the high draft picks too, right? Some guys have never been drafted that make it. Yeah.
Well, one of your favorite quotes to say, I didn't know that, but is, I mean this is a total compliment. You really got the most out of your career. And a lot of the guys have. They're not guys who you would think of as scorers or talent guys, and they've made these long careers, I I mean, James Patrick, he was very talented, but he played, 22 years?
Yes, I know. I didn't realize that too. Wow,
That's great. Jim Dowd played 17 years. Like these are, and he was a grit guy, So these guys, Dallas Drake, another one.
Yeah.
These guys got the most out of their careers, and that's awesome. So Mike Allison, another guy. So there's so many good stories, and
it is
great.
funny, man. I do say that all the time, but it's genuine. Like I really think that when I'm looking at these guys, I'm thinking, man, that guy got a lot out of his career. Yeah.
I think anyone who listens to the show knows everything you do is genuine. There's really no bullshit about you. And your fascination is real fascination. That I didn't know that is real. That's like, oh, I didn't know that. There's no BS, and that's again, that's a character thing. So yeah, Tom, I don't want to pump your tires too much. I'm getting sick. I think I'm gonna go throw up again now.
You know what? Listen, we should do a whole show on you being nice to me and saying nice things about me.
No, I gotta go. I'm gonna throw up. I gotta go. Thanks for listening, everybody.
See you, everybody. All right, Grasshoppers. Thank you for listening. We had a fantastic show. We'll see you next time.